ecosystems, such as coral reefs, are in danger of being lost permanently by changing environmental conditions. In particular, threats to the overall health of coral reefs include seemingly marginal fluctuations in salinity, temperature, and the acidity of the water. Healthy coral reefs, such as the ones shown in the British Virgin Islands, are home to an abundance of hard corals, such as staghorn and elkhorn, and biodiversity, including a multitude of species of fish, invertebrates, and microorganisms. However, not every coral reef appears to be as healthy as the ones shown in the British Virgin Islands. For example, look at the contrast in appearance between the photograph of the Lady Conch dive site in Tavernier, Florida, to that of Looe Key, Florida. Lady Conch has lost nearly all of its hard coral populations and retains only a fraction of the species of fish it once was home to.
In order to monitor the health of these endangered coral reef ecosystems, Venture Crew 210 has partnered with Cousteau divers to complete post-dive surveys pertaining to the physical conditions of each dive site and the health of the populations of coral and species of fish. In addition, in the summer of 2013, several members of Venture Crew 210 traveled to Key Largo, Florida to become Reef Level 2 certified in order to record the relative abundance of 50 species of fish to report to Reef completing each dive.
In the summer of 2014, 10 members of Venture Crew 210 returned to Key Largo to volunteer with the Coral Restoration Foundation, whose mission is to develop affordable, effective strategies for protecting and restoring coral reefs, and to train and empower others to implement these strategies in their coastal communities, restoring and preserving these aquatic treasures for future generations.
Before any work was started, we were first trained by several interns from the Coral Restoration Foundation on how to place fragments of staghorn corals on so-called coral trees in the coral nursery and how to outplant major staghorn corals on coral reefs.
After having been trained, we dove at the Coral Restoration Foundation's coral nursery off of Key Largo, Florida, in order to perform maintenance work such as scraping algae off of the coral trees, and to place fragments of staghorn corals on the coral trees, which are the PVC pipe structures shown, with the fragments of staghorn corals hanging from the monofilament line. Once the fragmented staghorn corals had grown on the coral trees for 10 to 12 months, interns from the Coral Restoration Foundation would take the now larger corals and place them in a crate to transport to a coral reef where fragments produced from these larger corals would be outplanted.
After having harvested them from the coral nursery, the corals were brought up to the dive boat in a crate to be transported to another dive site where they could be outplanted. Here, under the guidance of the Coral Restoration Foundation intern, Katie Parker and Abby Kruger worked together to outplant the coral. Katie chisels the seabed in order to provide a smooth foundation for the marine epoxy, which Abby is attaching to the staghorn coral. After several months, the staghorn coral will eventually grow over the marine epoxy and attach itself to the seabed and continue to grow for years to come.